You know what makes me sad? How few people have pet pigeons. And how normalized it is to think parrot when someone says pet bird. Pigeons are domesticated. They are perfectly made to be friends and thrive in our care. Unlike many parrot species that often don't thrive in captivity because they're essentially still wild animals. Pigeons can't talk, but at least we can meet their needs.
I was done talking about this, but then I finally realized how I wanted to put this into words. This is about Tommy, but it's also about the Minecraft YouTuber community in general, specifically how they treat POCs, specifically black folk. Your guys' defense against Tommy was you have to stop holding streamers to such an impossible standard. You have to stop putting them on a pedestal, which is true. We should not hold them to an impossible standard, and we shouldn't expect everyday streamers who just play Minecraft to be activists. But we're not asking him to be an activist, and we're not holding him to an incredibly high standard. And that's when I realized white people think not being racist is a standard that is actively hard to reach. That is the only reason you guys are getting so upset about this. You see being not racist is something difficult that you have to learn and put effort into do instead of not being.
I've been asked this many times, how do you have these flags up? Because I live in a very strict, religious, Desi household. My Bengali parents are very traditional and care too much about reputation. But to them, these are pieces of fabric. My mom sort of gets the meaning of this one, but ignores it. But for this one, my mom literally came in and was like, আমি এটা দেখছিলাম ফেসবুকে এটা মানে কি এটা তোর সাথে কেন? And I was sitting there panicking because why was she asking? And then she took a long, hard stare, then looked at me and said, this is for your grandma, huh? Breast cancer awareness.
Liberals, would you guys be okay with Blue's Clues talking about polyamorous relationship?
Also, like, piggybacking off my last video, the fucking relationship most lesbians have with gender is actually literally the fucking coolest thing ever to me. Not to be a little insane guy, but the fact that, like, because all we know of gender is that, you know, like, what we know of gender, it's entirely socially constructed, and it's just based off of these, like, stereotypes and perceptions of what women and men are supposed to be like, is so endlessly interesting to me that lesbians are inherently the most gender non-conforming sexuality because they do not center men in any way at all. When that's like gender roles and gender in general is created to center men to uphold the patriarchy. And so whenever I see lesbians that are like, I am a guy, like I'm just like a dude, or like I am a girl, but like in a guy way, because it's like your concept of femininity is like the concept of womanhood is like intrinsically tied to men, so you don't experience womanhood the same, and it's so fucking cool.
If anyone ever asks me why my mom misgenders me, I'm just gonna say that she didn't want a son. Hey man, why is your mom calling you she? Oh, she didn't like that I came out a boy. Yeah, really wanted me to be a girl. Yeah, used to put me in dresses when I was younger too. It was a whole thing.
Word of advice. If your question starts with, this might sound bad, it probably does. But I'm gonna answer anyway. 1. I am not deaf. I'm hard of hearing, which means I still have some hearing left, even when I take my hearing aids out. Number 2, I was born hearing. I actually started to lose my hearing around the age of 4, before having surgery at 9 to bring it more back up to a manageable level, before starting to lose it again at about 12. Thirdly, I took drama lessons from about the age of 5. So we were taught to enunciate to the back of the room. So you can imagine it was corrected out of me. Fourthly, I do have a speech impediment, but because these are edited, I don't let you guys see them. Lastly, you guys have been asking about my weird accent. Do you want to put the pieces together?
You know, of all the fun and funky trends we've been talking about playing around with, I don't think we talk about the androgynous makeup nearly enough. I'm not talking subtle or natural either. I'm talking about, like, glam rock. Where's this energy? Like, we're getting here. We're not there yet, but we're on the trajectory. Like, I feel like we're on the correct bus route, but we haven't gone far enough yet. And I will be fair that most people do not want to go super far down that route. I get it. Because you might end up here. But is that really a bad thing? Also, once again, we definitely are on the right trajectory. Do you recognize that lip look? I recognize that lip look.
Hi there, I am the Azrai. It's 1 in the morning and I feel like starting shit, so I am going to talk about the funniest things I've noticed in my 1 year on testosterone. Funny because if these things are common, then, men have some explaining to do. Number 1, my pain tolerance has gone down. It's not like debilitating or anything, but it's notable. Number 2, I do feel generally kind of stronger and like I have more energy, unless literally anything is wrong with me. If I am hungry, sleepy, thirsty, if I'm the wrong temperature, I am noticeably more useless until that is fixed. It's like I have the constitution of a large, buff toddler. Number 3 is that I am more emotional. Yeah. If I hadn't had a lifetime of therapy, I would say it's almost easier to make rash decisions. Not saying any of this is universal, but I am saying, if anything, I feel less qualified to be, say, a world leader.
Do I like gay people?
I just want to talk about something just really quick. Lately, there's been a lot of videos on my For You page talking about like how men see themselves through the male gaze, but they can't see through the female gaze, and that's one of the reasons why men have such a hard time not understanding why women don't find them attractive. I want to fucking talk about how fucking often they make fun of dudes that don't have fucking muscles. Like, in their eyes, I would be a fucking loser because I don't have a fucking six-pack and I'm not 6'5". I don't know, I just find it really funny how despite knowing that dudes have types, women for whatever reason can't have types. Like the dudes who have a thing for short chicks, or the dudes that have a thing for bigger chicks. Women can't have a thing for like skinnier dudes or like feminine looking dudes. And then they get so fucking mad whenever they find out that some dude who has no muscles has a girlfriend. Like, what the fuck?
Here's a fun fact that should come as a surprise to nobody. RuPaul stole the phrase, "We're all born naked and the rest is drag." This person, Teddy Matthews, was a gay liberation activist, an anti-war activist, a draft dodger. He participated in a lot of feminist solidarity movements and anti-work, and a lot of community organizing and support, especially during the 1970s. And he's famously quoted as saying the following: "We're all born naked, and anything anyone wears is drag." He was known for a style that was coming to be called as gender and this kind of effeminacy and drag was actually really important to his politics. He saw his femininity and his gayness as something that needed to be politicized, and used it as a means to fight the draft. And my favorite story about him is when he was finally forced to show up for induction, he came in high femme attire, and during his medical exam said, "Oh darling, I am a homosexual fantasy." So clearly he was deemed unfit for service.
I'm going to make this now because it's apparent a lot of people do not know what amatonormativity is, because it's not, in fact, a Tumblr word, nor was it created by the aromantic community, but it was created by a philosophy professor named Elizabeth Brake to describe this social pressure that she saw to not only get into a monogamous romantic relationship with the end result of marriage, but to prioritize that relationship above everything else. And there are so many examples to prove that point correct. My favorite one to point out, which doesn't mention it by name, is the comedy special by Daniel Sloss named Jigsaw and the repercussions from that special, in which he talks about his own struggles from a young age about having to have a partner fulfill him, and to be scared to leave a partnership because he would be seen as incomplete. And apparently a lot of people related to that comedy special, because the last time I saw, over 90,000 couples broke up because of it. So yeah, you can think it's fake, you can think it's gibberish, but it has real life consequences that you cannot deny.
Until trans people tell you something that forces you to re-examine your cis heteronormative worldview?
No, literally. Allyship of all marginalized communities, they literally will say they're allies, but the second you tell them something that they do, they're like, but wait, and make excuses. Example, me and another trans person, specifically a trans woman, were talking about how genital preferences, identifying as 100% straight or 100% gay, can sometimes be transphobic, and everyone was just like, no, LOL. Also, I made a video talking about how a lot of cosmetic surgery is just normalized cultural appropriation, and here come everybody in the comments, but I'm different because I'm just insecure. If you don't actually want to make any sacrifices, don't claim to be an ally. It's not supposed to be easy. Like...
Oh, hey. What's up, random cashier person? I actually thought you were a woman at first, until I walked up and then you talked to me, and I realized that you were a man. Oh, damn, that's weird. Because I'm actually a woman. I was just born with a weird testosterone disorder, so in my teenage years, I got like a really deep voice from it. Oh, that's crazy, bro. What's the name of the disorder? Balls. I was born with balls. Like testicles.
More unpopular opinions that might get me cancelled, LGBT plus edition part 3 since my last one got taken down. Body shaming in the queer community is very bad, but no one ever talks about it. Being gay does not make you exempt from being racist or transphobic. Black queer people are the backbone of the LGBT plus community, yet we're the most stepped on and the least cared for, so let that sink in. Lesbians and queer women are the sweetest women that you will ever meet, yet they get less representation in our community compared to gay men, which sucks. Dating in the LGBT plus community as a person of color, especially as a black person, is toxic and traumatizing. Asexuals, aromantic, and non-binary people get little to no representation in our community, especially when they're people of color. Biphobia needs to be talked about more. Grindr is disgusting. The gay community can be cliquish. Non-black queer people of color can be just as racist toward black queer people as white gays. Without heteronormativity, more people would identify as queer. Things like gay nightclubs and pride festivals aren't as fun when you're black and you go by yourself.
What does being non-binary mean to me? Well, the way I see it, I am so groundbreakingly sexy that everybody is attracted to me, regardless of their sexuality, you know? So I'm kind of like above gender, beyond it, better than it, if you will.
Autistic opinion of the day. Society as a whole is completely fine saying that people should be able to die if they cannot support themselves. Homeless people, anyone who is addicted to drugs, anyone who is unable to get a job because of compromising positions or people that they may be. I'm trying to be subtle with this one. But the minute you say you hope someone dies, that's wrong. I say that I hope that Jeff Bezos gets hit by a car and suddenly every adult in the room is like, I don't wish harm upon another person. So are you telling me that the difference between wishing someone would die and just letting someone die is that you can't say it? Is it like a no speak, no tell rule?
Cis people do not get what makes being trans funny. Because it's not the name, it's that I willingly chose to have hair between my ass cheeks. I was living a life without hair between my ass cheeks and I went, no, this could be better.
Here's a not so fun fact from a veteran. For months, we've been bombarded with campaigns by social media companies and just the regular media to stay inside. And now that it's relatively safe to go out if you're vaccinated, there have not been campaigns to the contrary. Not to mention the fact that humans tend to process the emotions after the traumatic event, which means that if you're feeling particularly bad now, congratulations, you have a regular brain. We're really good at adapting to new traumatic situations. We are not good at going back to how our brain was before the traumatic situation. You don't just temporarily get used to something, you adapt to it. And now that there are no campaigns helping you adapt to being a person again, we're all struggling, alone. Gee, what does that remind me of? Oh, wait, when they taught me to be a soldier, sent me to war, and then when I got back, we're like, I don't know, you're a civilian now, figure it out! The government's nothing if not consistent. So welcome. Now you know what it's like to be a veteran, kind of.
The other day I was talking to like a heterosexual coworker of mine, and I was talking to her a little bit about like being queer and being trans and stuff. We were just chatting. And out of nowhere, she's like, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, she's about to ask me some sort of invasive question about, like, my junk or something. And she just goes, do you guys as a community, like, do you still like Lady Gaga? And I'm just sitting there, like, ready to answer some, like, weird-ass question. Do you guys still like Lady Gaga? I said yes.
This might look like jewelry, but it's actually my ring splints. I have EDS and they keep my fingers from moving in ways that they're not supposed to. However, a set like this normally sets you back $2,000, so I made them myself. Here's how. You're going to want to take just any 14 gauge wire, something to wrap the wire around, wire cutters, and pliers. Take a length of wire, wrap it around the object twice, bring it across diagonally, then wrap it around again at least twice. You can then tighten or loosen the splint by twisting the circular part. Do this until it fits on the joint loosely with the diagonal across the inner part of the joint. Next, you'll cut off the excess, make sure there is at least one loop on the top and bottom. You can always leave two if you need extra support. With the splint on your finger, press down on it until it fits like this tightly. This shape allows your fingers to move normally. Make sure it's on the nail, not the nail bed. And do this to tighten and this to loosen. This is the before and after of the ring splint, and I think you can really tell the difference.
Piercing fact speed round. Septum piercings. Septum piercings are pierced through the sweet spot. This is the softer cartilage in the nose. Basically, when you feel your septum area, you'll feel a harder lump of cartilage towards the bottom, then a softer part above that, and then a harder part above that. So it's right in that middle spot. You can absolutely still get your septum pierced if your septum is deviated. It's just going to be trickier for the piercer to get it to look nice and straight with your anatomy. So make sure you're going to someone who knows what they're doing. Septum piercings take about 4 to 6 months to fully heal. It's a relatively quicker one, but you really want to leave the jewelry in for that duration of the time. It can be flipped up while healing. It's not advised to be flipping it back and forth because that's just going to hinder the healing and make it take much longer. There's a million different options for getting your septum pierced as far as jewelry goes, but you should never, ever, ever get pierced with a hinge ring or a seam ring to start. That seam will go through the piercing channel as it's healing and just tear it up, and it'll be an absolute nightmare.
As a Black trans woman, I just want to say this. People, specifically cis women and cis people, telling me that I pass and that I look prettier than them and that I look more of a girl like them, it's not a compliment. Passing is not my goal. Me transitioning is for me to feel comfortable in my skin, not for the palatability of cis people, specifically cis white people. Because at the end of the day, Black trans women, we're always masculinized because there's this standard of femininity that we cannot meet because it's rooted in whiteness. Do you see my skin? It's black. I'm never gonna be able to be up to the standards of femininity because I'm not a white woman. I'm Black and trans. I can't meet it, so don't compliment me saying you look more of a girl than me. Don't compliment me saying I pass because it's not a compliment.
I bet my wife thinks that guy's pretty hot. Is the thought that popped into my head last night as I was watching TV and the main character biked across the screen. But then I had an immediate realization. I was the only person involved in making that observation. It was all in my head. Which means that the idea that this guy was hot was my idea. Had nothing to do with my wife. And then in my mind, without even meaning to, I projected it onto her. Probably because of some deeply entrenched and likely toxic sense of how I'm supposed to think and feel as a straight person. I don't know. Anyway, later I asked my wife, "Do you think this guy's good looking?" And she was like, "He's not ugly. He got cast in a starring role, so yeah, I guess. I don't know." So I guess the point of this little story is that my wife and I have different taste in men.
As trans people, we'll sometimes bond over the fact we used to watch Calvin Garrow videos, and how some of us just hate watched them, and it gave us trauma and made us hate ourselves. And some trans people were fans of Calvin due to self-hatred and internalized transphobia. And then cis people will come along and be like, I used to be a fan of Calvin Garra. That's so funny and cringe. I'm an ex-trans medicalist. You can't be a trans medicalist as a cis person. You weren't a cringe Calvin Garra fan. You were a transphobe. You are an ex-transphobe. It is not funny, and it is not something you should be telling people. It is definitely not something you can bond with trans people over. You're telling me that you as a cis person think it's funny and kind of cringe that you just sat there and agreed while Calvin said shit like, real trans men don't wear patent binders. It's okay to misgender some trans people. Go bully and harass this trans person. Being trans is not something to be proud of. You should hate yourself.
If a gender abolitionist or just a trans person sat down with Kanye West and could just talk to him about gender for like 6 minutes probably, there is no way Kanye West would still be cis. No way someone with a god complex that big is not on the team of no gender. No way. Kanye West is a non-binary lesbian. You heard it here first, folks.
Tell me the biggest lie an adult has ever told you, and
when I was just a boy, my father told me I would never amount to anything. But here I am now, with a blueberry bagel with peanut butter spread over top of it. And my father's in the ground, where he belongs.